evening, everyone. Good evening, councillors, and good evening, members of the public. First of all, we're going to record this meeting, and this is just for the purpose of minute taking. There's no other reason why we're recording it, it's just for that purpose. Thank you. Right.
Chair, sorry, could I just to be fair, it is going on to YouTube, so the purpose of the recording will be live. People can watch it later. So just be fair to the public to be aware of the fact that other people will be able to see what they say. Yes, and of course, I thought I forgot to mention that. Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. Right, the first item on the agenda is item number 1, which is to note that this is a working party and no delegated authority it may only make recommendations to the full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority by myself and the clerk. Item 2, apologies for absence. Is there any apologies, Colin? I have had apologies from Councillor Burns, who is not attending this meeting this evening. Okay, thank you very much. And item 3, which is declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone, councillors? No? Thank you. Item 4, to consider planning application. On this occasion, only one application. I will invite members of the public who wish to address the working party in relation to this planning application, which is Persimmon, to speak ahead of the working party. Thank you very much. Okay, this is Persimmon. This is oh dear, I can't expand me. Can you put it up? Sorry, the agenda, Colin. I can't expand it for some reason. I was going to read out what it entails. I can do. Just hang on a second. Thank you very much. Right, this is DC 20-0614 RM, application for reserved matters pursuant to hybrid planning permission SE 091283 for infrastructure comprising of the internal estate roads, drainage, POS, landscaping and allotments for land at Northwest Haverhill. This is land northwest of Haverhill and Suckling Lane, Little Ratting. Thank you, Colin.
I won't come on here because it won't accept the...
Okay, can you mute, please, whoever that is? Thank you. Okay, can we have any members of the public, please, who wish to speak on this item? Right, I saw Mike Ford first and then Karen. Mike, please.
Yes, good evening, councillors.
Good evening.
Could I, just to start with, in the meeting you had in March, you were going to write to both West Suffolk and Suffolk County Council about our concerns about the communications. Can I ask if that has been done and whether you have received a reply yet?
Right, Colin, but I think Councillor Mason has had some reply from Suffolk County Council, if I'm correct. And Colin, do you know if Vicky had a reply from them? My colleague Vicky, who also gives her apologies, I should say, is on annual leave and she was dealing with that particular matter. I'm not familiar with whether or not she's done it or not. I apologise, I can't answer that question.
Chair, can I offer some clarity on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, you mentioned that I'd had some correspondence, with Suffolk County Council. Whilst I have
Oh, you're breaking up. Can you turn your screen off, please, Councillor Mason? You're breaking up. It might give you a bit more on the sound side of it.
I think he's beyond that, Chair.
Right.
I think he's crashed in flames.
Right. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, I've turned my video off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm afraid it's gone again.
No information to add in relation to that letter.
Sorry, Councillor Mason, can you start again, because it went off, even the sound went off.
Okay, if this continues, I'll use my mobile phone and I'll disappear and I'll come back on.
Okay, thank you.
I'll say again, whilst I have been in conversations with Suffolk County Council relating to this, it hasn't been as a result of any letter from the town council. So I don't know what their response is to that letter, but I can talk about my other conversations with them after the public have spoken.
Okay, right, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Right, well, obviously we'll have to get back to you on that, or get Vicky to get back to you, maybe. Hey, Colin, is that correct? On that particular question?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that'll come back to the full meeting as matters arising.
Okay, right.
Yes.
Right, thank you. Mike, do you want to come back on that?
Oh, yes, please. Right, that was just my starter. The fact is that this application, this is now the third time that this application has come before the Working Party. We have made comments on the previous two occasions, and the application as it is now shows no changes at all since we looked at this application in August last year. These applications should be done in consultation, but it seems the only consultation is with people in the east of the county and in the middle of the county. And certainly no one in our part of the area has any consultation at all. I'll finish with that for the moment, and then I'll probably come back with a couple other comments later.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
Hi there, evening everyone.
Good evening.
I participated on one of these sessions, but I have been listening in on some of the others, so I have been following what's been going on. I've also been contacting highways and penny mills in planning, etc., when things have arisen that I just don't get. There is an awful amount, very large volume of paperwork on the portal. It's very difficult to go through it and actually make any sense of it. There's just amendments to amendments, and I counted up how many sheets of paper there were on there, and I noted it somewhere but lost it. The residents, a lot of residents have, I think there are about 30 families have put their comments onto the portal with objections, really focusing on Anne Suckling Road being connected through to the Persimmon site. There is also a petition, which I believe was signed by just over 250 people. What do we have to do to make the council stroke highways listen to us? We really feel that we're banging our head against a brick wall. Highways, I believe, had some involvement in Anne Suckling Road being reduced in width up by Ratting Road. If they actually intended and had been following the plans, did they really think that was a good idea when there were going to be, I'm not sure how many houses, 1,000+ houses, is it, on the new part of the Persimmon site? Why did they not take that into account and think that really would not be a really good idea to actually thin that road down? Because now we've got all the parked cars, it's dangerous. I think you talk to a lot of people on the estate. and they will just go, yeah, I've come around the corner and nearly had a head on. It's dangerous, really dangerous. Some of the correspondence I had with, well, one email reply from Highways, they eventually commented on my queries to them. It said that they noted that I had submitted an objection to West Suffolk, and it was important as they have the authority to determine the application as the local planning authority. They said it's an ongoing planning application and that Highway Authority will review the plans available on the LPA website and submit a formal consultation response, which the LPA will make public. Our understanding is the plans do not show a bus gate limitation on Ansuckling Road. Well, we're sort of figuring that, but the master plan is there, but it seems to be used for some things, ignored for other things. You know, they've stopped Howe Road being an opening through to Persimmon, which is correct. That would be a real rat run. So that's good. But they're not looking at the potential of the amount of traffic that Ansuckling Road has got to cope with and cater for. And we don't think it can do it, not safely. Also, the Relief Road has not been started. If that's not started and traffic has a way onto the top of the Persimmon site on the north side, how is traffic going to get on to that site? Peter Bradfield from Highways did say that he would bring my concern about construction traffic using Ansuckling Road to the LPA's attention and ask for clarification about how construction traffic will be routed. Well, I'm also worried about where the cars for the houses that are being built are going to go. Again, it's all sort of being directed along Ansuckling Road. Ansuckling Road is busy anyway. There's a lot of houses on this estate with probably way more than 2 cars per house. You've got the school being built as well. That's going to add to it. I just really wish they'd come down and look. If you look at a map, flat, it doesn't show what the road is really like. So unless they actually come down and look and talk to the residents about the excess noise, pollution, the trouble with the road and parked cars, you know, it's something that if they don't get it right now, is going to cause us no end of problems in the future. So those are my comments.
Thank you very much for that, Carol. Is there any, Brad, please?
Right, I think I've got the sound on.
Yeah,
yeah, I think I think all our comments on this are sort of well documented by now, both by the town council and by the local authority, by West Suffolk. What we never seem to get is any feedback or any suggestion that we're being listened to at all. And I sort of echo that point that Karen and Mike have made. I also don't think that there's any real consideration being given to the amount of traffic which will now start using this road. I've got in front of me a sort of picture of the, you probably can't see that. No, I can't see it either, but a picture of the new estate. Get off. Right, and from 4A through 5, 6, and I can't remember 3B, I'm going from memory now, all of that traffic is likely to come down Ansuckling Road, particularly if it's heading down into town. You know, why would you want to go round a big loop and out to the Relief Road if you can cut through here? And that's exactly what's going to happen. And it seems that it's impossible for anybody to grasp that that's what we're talking about. This is dangerous. We're talking about probably, as an estimate, something like an extra 800 houses, I would suggest, and I haven't actually calculated that, but just looking at this, the plan of the site, about 800 more cars, that's assuming 1 car per household, is going to be coming down Anne Suckling Road. And if somebody from Highways or somebody from West Suffolk, somebody from Ipswich would actually come and just talk to us about what's going on, so we can actually get some sense that they have been here, they know what this looks like, it's not all just done from Google Maps, then I think that would be very helpful. But as you're already aware from numerous other conversations, that's just not happening. Things like I listened last night in detail to the YouTube video of the meeting of the 10th of August, when this road was first proposed to look like this. And every single item that we need to talk about was raised at that meeting. You know, the fact that the school will have no parking spots, that means that people have got to find somewhere else to park to drop people off. There's some assumption that everybody will manage to walk to school and bring their kids that way. There's little reflection taken that actually this school is going to be drawn on something like certainly a 5-mile radius to keep it narrow, really. So people are going to be driving into here and have to drop the kids off. And they're usually on their way to work when they're doing that. So how do they then get back around to either go down into Haverhill, to go to Bury, to go to Cambridge? There just aren't enough connections with that outer relief road, in my view. It needs to have at least one more road at the far end, which would at least take some of the traffic away from Anne Suckling Road. As it was pointed out to me earlier, that still doesn't probably cater for everyone who will want to come down Anne Suckling Road in order to head for Haverhill, because that's still the Anne Suckling Road will still be the best bet for that. I'd leave it there for the moment. I think I could go on for another couple of hours, really, but I think I'd better not.
Yeah, it's supposed to be only 3 minutes each person. And
yeah, just to reiterate, a lot of the things have already been said, a lot of frustration. I would say on behalf of residents, after talking to so many on this estate, we feel we've been very much misled or given lots of disinformation over many years about where we stand with Anne Suckling Road. It's quite unbelievable that we now hear that this was always meant to be a main access road, which it wasn't. On the most part, it was not. It may have been an access road, but at the moment we have got a huge, since they've redrawn the road, you've now got a massive road that comes around without any connection. It's imbalanced. If you look at it, all of the outlet is onto what do you call this road? Sorry, Anne Suckling Road, but also the main road to Bury. If you look, just have a look at that road. There should be another roundabout added on, which takes traffic more to Cambridge somehow. It's just ridiculous, actually, I believe. The school dropping off. I've just had a hairdresser here who lives near Chalkston, says absolute nightmare at Westfields because of this. I'm a teacher. I've been at Place Farm. I see this. I've seen it at Parkway. The amount of problems with traffic, and they haven't listened to a word you said from the meeting in August about drop-off points for schools. And anyway, I think it's just a lack of consultation, lack of interest, lack of people not coming to see us. I feel that we've been disempowered, especially during lockdown and COVID. We haven't been able to meet as an estate or as anybody else in the town easily. It's been quite a horrific business, actually. The whole thing is traumatic. And I feel that we've not been regarded with any respect in some ways by some people. There's been some listening to, but not a lot. And they're my main points. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do think you have listened. I think the town council, you've been really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, but we don't have the power. That's the trouble. You know, we're only consultees, and that's the big problem. You know, getting things done is really hard. We can only give our opinion, and that's the big problem. You know, it's it's West Suffolk Council and obviously Suffolk County Council and Highways that had the main input, and the officers and obviously the councillors in the end at West Suffolk. So it's very hard, you know. It's so frustrating. I can fully understand how you're feeling. Well, I can't really, because I don't live where you live, but you know, I can feel some of it, what you're saying, and you have sort of put it over to us very strongly indeed. I just hope that, you know, obviously Councillor Mason and Councillor McManus bear all that in mind, what you just said, really, and you know, forcefully put their opinion to Suffolk County Council and all the other councillors that's on the committee, the planning committee, which I noticed Councillor Crooks, West Suffolk councillor, he's on the committee, and there's Councillor Smith. I just hope that if I missed anyone, you know, you know, I just hope that they listen to your opinions, you know, it's just that road, obviously, just having half of it blocked off one way, it seems a bit strange to me. Anyway, I think Councillor Mason's got something to say on that. Right, is there anyone else on the member of the public? Because I've got to bear in mind that we've got to go through this ourselves. Mike Ford, sorry, Mike.
Yes, just one thing. I've been looking through various papers, and a lot of the comments from Suffolk Highways, they seem to mitigate in using Anne Suckling Road, but the reason for that is that they believe that the relief road, if you look at all the plans and the master plan, the relief road should have been built first. So all their comments work on the assumption that the relief road has been built. And we know for a fact, they say they've started it, i.e. they've put one roundabout in, which they had to do anyway. But the next phases, which they will be doing, will be phase 3B and phase 6. Now, these are both at the end of Anne Suckling Road. Now, when this infrastructure plan goes in, they're not going to build all the road all in one go. They will do it in the phases as they see fit. So the first phase for 3B and 6 will mean all the traffic will go along Anne Suckling Road. There'll be no way onto the relief road unless they build all the other roads. On 2B, there was a link road which would join in with the roundabout on the relief road. I'm not sure what the current situation is, but at one point, and Suffolk Highways commented on it, the road ended as a dead stop where it went off the map. So if there's no access from Farrant Road, there will be all the building materials will be coming along Anne Suckling Road, and once the houses will be built, all that traffic will be coming along Anne Suckling Road until they deem to build the relief road and the rest of the infrastructure. I don't think it's right that decisions should be made on what might happen in the future. They should be making decisions on what is actually happening now. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, right. Thank you very much, everyone. Councillor Crooks.
Thank you, Chair. I really just want to raise, I'm undecided myself, I'll make that clear, I'm completely undecided, but I did want to raise an alternative point of view. You know, this estate and these residents, you know, we're talking large numbers of them, they are going to be part of Haverhill. So you know, we have to treat them with respect. And all this talk about they're only going to have one entrance and they've got to travel miles round a loop to get out really doesn't sit well with me. I believe the answer is to allow our Haverhill new residents access to Howe Road. They say Howe Road will become a rat run. Well, my version of a rat run is a residential street. Now, is Howe Road a residential street? It does. Howe Road does have some houses on it, yes, but it would be a lovely direct link for our new residents to get into town. I would even suggest that Anne Suckling Road is more of a residential street now than what Howe Road is. So you could actually say Anne Suckling will become more of a rat run than what Howe Road would be. And if you talk about phase 6, which is just past the end of Anne Suckling Road, as Brad said, those residents, he said it himself, those residents from phase 6 have got to travel all the way around that loop to get out of their housing estate. They have got to travel a long distance to get onto the Haverhill bypass. Is that really treating new Haverhill residents with respect and connecting them with our town? I suggest it isn't, and they might as well go and shop in Bury St Edmunds or Cambridge rather than try and get into the town. So I think the council should consider suggesting to West Suffolk that Howe Road should be open to traffic. It would, and then you wouldn't have, if that happened, then you wouldn't need Anne Suckling open. But I really do feel, looking at the plans, you do need 2 accesses. So one will just not cut it. You do need 2, and it's a case of deciding which 2 you want. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Flack. Thank you, Councillor Crooks. Okay, right. Thank you, everyone, for that. Okay, members of the council, of the working party, I should say. Do you want any comments from you, councillors?
Chair, County Councillor Joe Mason did suggest he would like to speak after the public have spoken. I did notice him raise his hand just now.
Oh, thank you for that, Colin. Sorry, Councillor Mason. I did. You're in my screen. You're right at the bottom left-hand corner, and you're right out of the way, and that's why I miss you. And I'm ever so sorry.
No, that's a good place to keep me out of the way. Okay, first thing, Council, thank you for rearranging this meeting to tonight. It was unfortunate that it was necessary to move it tonight. So, but firstly, thank you for accommodating the changing date, because it's allowed residents to join the meeting and be informed because they've had enough time to have a look at the plans. Dear me, I really could talk for the next half hour without stopping. Lots of conversations. And I did send a PowerPoint out to members tonight for anyone who might be unfamiliar with Anne Suckling Road. The dilemma that we have is there has to, I agree with Councillor Crooks, I do believe there has to be a second access point, which is probably going to either be Howe Road or Anne Suckling. I do feel that people on the Arundina estate, if they wanted to go to Bury, would use the access onto the Persimmon site, and it would potentially be a rat run to get out to Bury St Edmunds. It would be a quicker way than going down onto Withersfield Road. And so I do have concerns about Howe Road being opened. But I do agree on the notion that the estate does need 2 main access points, and not necessarily just roundabouts off the Relief Road. Whilst it's in my head, I would like to pass comment about the school. Just because there hasn't been any plans yet put forward for the school doesn't mean that there won't be a drop-off area. In fact, Councillor Hanlon, I believe that is something that you mentioned previously, that's of something that you wanted to see at the school. And I'd like to reassure residents that I'm sure all councillors will have that at the forefront of our minds when those plans come forward. So just as because it's not on the infrastructure plan at the moment, doesn't mean that we won't be pushing for a drop-off zone when that school and the plans come forward for that school. I requested an on-site meeting with Suffolk County Council, which was denied because they felt that there were insufficient grounds for an objection. At that point, I decided to call in these plans for the a delegation committee to consider for development control, because I genuinely feel that when you read the highways comments, that highways, in my opinion, haven't done due diligence in considering the impact that the increased flow of traffic would create on Anne Suckling. As a result of me calling it in, they've agreed to have a meeting with me at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And also I've had the West Suffolk come back to me this evening, and they're trying to set up an on-site visit with the Suffolk County Council highways team, so that I can walk them down Anne Suckling and talk to them about the issues that I genuinely don't believe they've considered. They've considered the highways issues for the application only, and not an impact assessment on the impact that it would have on joining onto Anne Suckling Road. Tonight I sent out to members a PowerPoint showing kind of the route from Ratting Road onto Anne Suckling. Just yesterday, I nearly went head on into another car. I wasn't speeding as I was turning left into Anne Suckling, but you have to go onto the other side of the road because there's cars parked on the left. And it's blind, you can't see. And on Google Maps, it's quite generous because the camera is a little bit higher, but you just cannot see traffic round the behind the cars. Now, I think if you were to ask most residents, they will tell you a similar story of where they've nearly had an accident with cars coming the other way. An increased flow of traffic is going to increase the likelihood of a collision. And as I think Mrs. Stockwell mentioned earlier, that the junction was narrowed, and so it is a little bit tighter than it was previously. You've then got a long straight all the way down to the bottom of Anne Suckling Road. Now, if they do join onto it, that road will continue to go straight up to the brow of the hill before it curls round to the left. So coming the other way, the temptation will be for speeding. Cars will come down the side of phase 6, across the ditch onto Anne Suckling, and it's a dead straight road. And already, I mean, I've noticed cars driving too fast along there, and there is a real public safety hazard. And I do believe that that alone is a grounds for objecting to this planning permission, because public safety is one of the categories that we're most likely to be successful on in terms of raising an objection. Now, if I was to try and draw some similarities with other places in Haverhill, Howe Road has traffic lights at the end of the road. The Chalkston has a mini roundabout at one end, but it has speed bumps all along its length for a very similar reason, but there are concerns about speeding if those traffic calming measures weren't there. If you look at Chivers Road leading onto Greenfields Way, there are traffic calming measures where estates are joining onto other estates. And I think also, if you look at Park Road, where the Parkway estate joins, so it links on to kind of the back of the Handship, past the Parkway estate onto Park Road. But on the main road, it's determined that it was necessary to have a mini roundabout. And so I'd also like to reinforce a point that I think Mr. Strachan had mentioned. But when you look at the maps, phases 4A, 4B, I think 4C, 5A, 5B, and 6, as well as the whole of the Boyton Hall estate, as well as a new estate that's being built with 38 dwellings tucked in, all of those will primarily use Anne Suckling as its main access onto Ratting Road. When you look at phase 1, it's got its own road onto Ratting Road, just phase 1. So then phase 2 has an excellent access onto Ratting Road because it's got a roundabout. Phase 3 will have a roundabout to the north and will be gone, which is close to 2A.
Sorry, just go back on that roundabout, because that you cut off then, just on that. That was the only time it cut off.
Okay. Please. Yeah, so 2A, 1B, sorry, will have an excellent exit out onto Ratting Road with the roundabout that is currently there. Phase 2A will have an excellent exit out onto Ratting Road without too much congestion. 3A and 3B will have another roundabout onto the Relief Road. None of this will be congested, but from, as I said, 4 onwards, plus Boyton Hall and this additional estate that is just being built, they're all going to use Ansuckling. And for me, when you read the Highways report, none of that is considered. The volume of traffic and also the suitability of such a long road, which starts with a decline towards the ditch and a straight line up, it is going to be a speeder's paradise. And I'm very concerned about us approving planning which has inbuilt dangers for residents. And bearing in mind, along Ansuckling, we are going to have so many more children walking towards Samuel Ward. And this is going to be a main thoroughfare with lots of children, lots of cars, and that main junction it's going to without a mini roundabout or traffic lights such as Howe Road or Park Road, it's going to tail back quite a long way. And the current system is, if it does tail back, any cars wanting to come into Ansuckling from Ratting Road won't be able to, because the cars parked on the left-hand side block them. Highways really need to step up. They need to come down and they need to see the hazards and the potential hazards of opening up the Simmons site. I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. I agree with Councillor Cooks, there should be 2 access points, but at the very least, we need to make sure our residents are safe and that any traffic flows are properly managed, because at the moment, all I see are problems. And to be honest, I shudder to think what will happen at the first accident when there's increased traffic, and we'll look back at meetings like this and say, I wish we could have pressed our point a little bit more strongly. All right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Mason. Okay, is there any councillors want to say anything at all? No? Oh, Councillor Smith, Dave Smith.
Yeah. First of all, Councillor Crook's point about coming out on Howe Road, I think that would be completely defeating the object of having a relief road. That would put so much extra pressure on Withersfield Road. I think that would be counterproductive. I would also like to see a third roundabout, further along the relief road to the northwest of the site for a third access point there. I think the loop round should be closed so it doesn't come out onto Ansuckling Lane. It should be joined up with the road that comes in, so it gives two, onto the relief road and also to the roundabout that's already existing there. So I think it would be better to close that loop so traffic doesn't come out onto Ansuckling, because it won't be able to, should we say, cope with the load, the extra load of traffic coming out that way. I don't think it would be sort of cutting the development off if you do that. It's not a huge greater distance to go onto the roundabout by what is now the Fox Pub. It's difficult for me, really, being on the development committee. I can't sort of predetermine the outcome of a plan, because that would put me in a very difficult position. I can take your views on board and I can present them in a way, but the views have to be contrary to our policies for it to be thrown out. We've got to remember that the principal development has already been established. So what the best thing we can do is hope that we can get through the reserve matters the best deal we possibly can, not only for the existing residents, but also, as has been said, the residents that move onto this site. Master plan. We were told previously that the master plan is not something that's set in stone. It's just aspirational, which is very frustrating, because we know what we want, but sometimes what we're told we can have and what we end up with is two different things. But Yeah, I fully support recognise the frustration that the residents feel about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Brown?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I think we should reiterate all our past objections strongly again. I think it was Brad that brought up, maybe one of the other residents, that they're completely right about this whole consultation process has been carried out during COVID, and people do not think that they've had a good opportunity to get together, to get Suffolk Highways officers over, etc. To talk about it. It's been a huge missed opportunity, and it isn't the residents' fault. So really we should ask for some sort of postponement, and and for Suffolk County Council highways and West Suffolk planners to actually properly engage with the residents. I can really sympathise with their frustrations. It's bad enough for us as local councillors, their voice doesn't get heard by Suffolk County Council or West Suffolk Council in most instances. So I think we should ask for some sort of extension and more of an engagement from Suffolk County Council highways and West Suffolk planners with the local residents. And let's get it right in the first place. And to be fair, Anne Suckling Road is just not fit for purpose. It isn't fit for purpose now, really. You've only got to look at work times, etc. There's a lot of people trying to get out onto Ratting Road. There's a lot of congestion there already, and that's without the cumulative impact of the Northwest development, 800 or 900 houses, and the proposed 2,500 houses on the Northeast development. There'll be a lot of traffic coming down into Haverhill, from that area. If it's turning right to try and get into Anne Suckling Road, etc., it's going to cause tailbacks. It's the whole thing, is a mess. It's potentially dangerous. Anyone can look at that and see, the problems ahead. But it's, again, us, local people, again, living here that care about it. And once again, it's the officers that do not live here, live in Ipswich and over the east of the county, and Bury St Edmunds, that get the say, and we and our residents lose out. So I really feel that once again we should strongly object, and let's wait and see what happens with this letter that we've written to the West Suffolk and Suffolk County Council. See, hopefully we'll get a reply and see what comes off the back of that. But I really do sympathise with the residents' frustrations. Unfortunately, us here as councillors, we cannot decide. We're consultants basically, and we quite often do not get listened to, unfortunately. And we try and try, but as you know, they don't want to come over, and that's the unfortunate thing about it.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Liz Smith.
Yeah, thank you. I agree totally with Councillor Brown, and very interested in what Councillor Mason had to say, and all the residents, obviously. I think we really need to make sure that they are consulted properly, and Councillor Brown just suggested a delay in the decision made on this one. Councillor Mason is obviously consulting with the highways tomorrow, I think he said, and really I think a site visit with Councillor Mason and with the residents is the best way forward. And I think they should delay any decision at West Suffolk Council until that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Karen, I'm sorry, say really, I can't really, I know you want to say something, but as I say, this session is for the councillors now, whereas your session was before. So I'm sorry, you'll have to sort of maybe, if we have another meeting, or get in touch with Councillor Mason or Councillor Manus and put your opinions to them. Right, is there any other comments at all? I've got a bit of a comment, which is sort of contrary to what everyone's just said. But on the landscaping side, I want to ask a question, because they're taking trees down. I just want to know, because of the bird nesting season has just started, whether they've already taken these trees down, contrary to, you know, us deciding this tonight, or if they haven't, will this delay the bird nesting? Will this delay, because most of these trees that are coming down are for the bypass? So my question will be, Councillor Mason, hopefully you'll be able to answer that then. Councillor Mason?
Hi, Chair. Well, I mean, probably the very best thing that we could do is get a response from Penny Mills at West Suffolk. I was given assurances that there'll be no works on trees or hedgerows on where there are live nests for obvious reasons. They do have an ecologist on site, and it is being monitored, and it is illegal to do that as well. I mean, the birds are protected, but in order to get confirmation of that, I suspect we'd need to contact Penny Mills at West Suffolk. But I was given assurances that it was being watched carefully.
Thank you very much for that. Colin, can you do that, please?
Yes,
Brown?
Chair, I've made a note of that.
Thank you. Councillor Brown?
That just reminded me about something which I'd forgot to mention earlier. Reading through some of the paperwork, I noticed the ecology report about the sulphur clover. It's quite an interesting little plant that grows up around in that area, and it's quite a nationally important plant. It's clover with yellow heads on there. They say that they've got to remove some of that to build the houses and infrastructure, etc. I would just like to make sure that they do, put it somewhere where it can thrive in the future, because it is something that is, that used to be quite prevalent around Haverhill, and it's virtually died out.
Thank you for that. Colin, take a note of that, please. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Dave Smith.
Okay, yeah, there was a reference earlier made about the relief road should have been built before development started. Unfortunately, one of the conditions of the was that the road was built after the 500th house was occupied or something. It was a very poor condition, which unfortunately was put in before I think any of us were elected to the council anyway, so we didn't have any input into that, unfortunately. I suppose on the plus side is the road has to be built by March next year. So hopefully that will be all done and dusted before the next phase of houses is built.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Yeah, I think that came up at the last meeting about the, we had about Persimmon was the road. It's got to be built by next March. Also, there's a big fine, isn't there? Or what have you? Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Right. Obviously, I've heard. I think Councillor Brown suggests that we object. Is that on the grounds of all what's been said tonight? Is that right, Councillor Brown? Yeah. Okay. Can I have a seconder for that, please? I saw Councillor Liz Smith's hand first. Thank you. All those in favour, please show. No, yours don't count, I'm afraid. It's only the councillors, Linda's. Right, thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. That's carried. Right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight. I say, please bear in mind that this is going to go eventually to West Suffolk, and I hope that we can see people going to West Suffolk Council and raise their objection. You only get a strict 3 minutes there, very strict it is as well. So I think you've been there before, haven't you? So you already know, some of you, on that. So if you do, make your speeches very short, if you can, and to the point, and written out for yourselves, obviously. Right, thank you very much, everyone. And